Hi, I'm here today at the Agile Supply Chain Research Club where we're talking to Chris Clemo, who's talking to us about British American Tobacco's segmented supply chain strategy. Chris, welcome. Can you give us an overview of British American Tobacco's organisation and the challenges you face?
British American Tobacco is the world's second biggest but most international tobacco company. Born internationally, it operates all over the world in something like 140 markets. We employ 50,000 people, 300 brands, and 18,000 SKUs. So we're a big business. And the supply chain operates pretty much in all those markets. We have about 50 factories, and we operate with service centres based regionally and with one global service centre. And we employ about 20,000 people. Pretty big.
Okay, and the challenges that you face that are related to your supply chain, what are they?
The challenges for us is the tobacco industry is a pretty mature business. It's has, should we say, some controversy around it. So we face some challenges. I think primarily restrictions in marketing and regulation are making our traditional way in which we do our business more difficult. We can't display our products in many countries now, and there are going to be increased regulation issues in terms of ingredients. Also, the economic situation is difficult for the world generally, but also, we've heard about sovereign debt crisis, and we as a company give £35 billion a year in the form of duties and taxes to governments, and we're a big contributor. And so, if governments are a bit short of cash, there's pressure for them to ask more in terms of excise increase. All this is putting pressure on consumers, particularly in developed markets. So where we have opportunities in developing markets, in the third world and what they call the BRIC economies, there is lots of opportunity. But in some of the developed markets, consumers are under a lot of pressure and restrictions. And so there are quite a few challenges. What that means is that as a company, if we want to be successful, we have to continue to look to see and deliver organic growth. So difficult market conditions, how do you deliver organic growth? And that's really about delivering more to the consumer, really offering new products, new sensations based on not only their current needs, but potential future wants. And that means how do you deploy innovation? So the big challenge for the supply chain is how do we develop these new products, how we and then do that quickly and make sure they're good, they're winning, and how we deploy them into these markets faster than competition.
And what's BAT working on at the moment to address these issues?
Okay, so that means that we've recognised this for some time. So the supply chain in BAT has been on a bit of a journey. I mean, 5 years ago, every big market had its own factory, and the supply chain was, whatever that particular market or country wanted its products, it was made in that factory. And so it was all very close together and it was easy. But it's not really very economic to operate that way. And so we need to drive margin improvement in our business through productivity, and that means scale. So we have to sort of use those factory and supply chain assets for more than one market. So that means managing them on a sort of a global network, or a regional and then global network, so that we can use that scale. That means what we've been doing over the last few years is establishing that network so that we can make the factories work together, we can share the capacity, we can plan our demand across those factories using these service centres. And then what we can now do is centrally or globally manage the innovation deployment. So we get a new innovation, we know what markets they want to go into, and we can get a factory and a network and a sourcing plan to deliver against it. So that's what we're working on. What's next? So we basically established, I suppose, a nice controlled network. It all works in a very standardized way. It's an efficient way. We've delivered quite a lot of scale benefits. What we are going to do now is to tune that network so that we can offer differential services to the business, particularly around innovation. So we have that MPI process in place. Now what we want to do is to be able to compress the lead time of that. And that's around collaboration with marketing so we can develop innovations quicker. The other thing is to take the network of supply onto the next level, and that is to be able to deploy innovations in multiple markets more quickly in the market, and that requires new technology and new ways of working. The other thing that we're going to do is really expand our control of the supply chain so that we get more visibility of all our finished goods inventories. We start to move our demand signal from what is at the moment at a market level, so we understand what the market does in the first warehouse. We're going to move that much closer to the customer and to the customer's requirements. And then when we have more visibility, it allows us to plan more effectively and to manage the inventory and to get innovations through the market more quickly. And I suppose the last thing we're going to be looking at is collaboration with our supplier base, where if we again try to invent new things, we're working much more closely with them and much earlier in the innovation process to again compress the lead time for innovation.
Okay, and you're working with Cranfield on a knowledge transfer partnership?
Okay, yeah. So there was a couple of things that our association with Cranfield has been going back a lot of years. Basically, what we have implemented in the supply chain is really in a direct response to some strategy that we helped develop with Cranfield around customer responsive supply chain. That continues to this day, and we have a number of associations with them. One is this research clubs. It's the Customer Responsive Supply Chain Club, where we're working with other like-minded companies jointly to develop what is best practice and around customer responsive supply chain, and then to implement it. So that's something we're working on now. And the other thing that I'm particularly pleased with is this thing called the Knowledge Transfer Partnership, where together with Cranfield we have obtained governmental funding to implement leading practice around lean and agile thinking, and to implement that in the BAT organisation. And we have a number of associates from Cranfield who we employ on a 2-year project to do that. So we're very embedded in partnership with Cranfield from a strategy point of view, and increasingly in helping them, we're both working together to actually implement it in practice.